Inter Miami has bounced back and beat New York City FC 3-2 after their Concacaf Champions Cup exit earlier this week. And I said before this game started, this was going to need to be a bounce back win and game for Inter Miami, and it's exactly what it was. And this might be one of their better looking games they've had all season, which some of you might say that's not saying much, but we're going to break down what we saw, what happened, and some lineup changes. And Javier Mascherano did not manage this game. But before we get into that, I want to welcome you all to MLS Moves presented by FanDuel. Also, make sure you guys like this video down below if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are 600 subscribers away from 13,000. And hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. So, heading into this game, they had no Javier Mascherano. Inter Miami's coming off of their very heartbreaking loss to Nashville SC in the Champions Cup, and they're having to go play red-hot New York City FC, who hadn't lost a game this year until today. Like, they were red-hot. They had been scoring goals, right? So heading into this game, we saw some changes in the Inter Miami starting 11. We saw that Rodrigo de Paul had gotten injured or pulled something, I think, in practice, or maybe they said in the Nashville SC game. He was out. They had Bertarame start on the bench instead of playing up top. And then they switched to Yende up top, and they put Silvetti on that right side. And they took out Facundo Mora, who Ian Frey started for. So there were several changes in the starting 11. And like I said, Mascherano was out. So I was curious to see how this was going to play out. It's kind of one of those situations where it could be a lose-lose, which we'll get into later. They looked really good without Bertarame. And I'm saying it's lose-lose because they spent all this money on this guy, and it's hard to move off of him. So if they looked really good, then obviously they might not play him, and they're going to have a hard situation or hard decision to make about what to do with them. But let's get into the first half. So right out of the gate, Inter Miami were looking dangerous, right? In the fourth minute, Lujan scored off of a corner. I can't remember who. I think it was Segovia shot it, and then Gonzalo Lujan got the rebound, shot it, scored in the fourth minute. Inter Miami's up early. And at that point, I'm like, okay, this team is ready to go. This team is looking motivated. They look like they are wanting to prove themselves that they are better than what they showed in the last two matches, right, against Nashville SC. So they get on the board early, and they're looking dominant in the first half. Okay, they are looking like they are definitely the better team. And I want to say, too, that New York City FC play at Yankee Stadium, baseball stadium. We all know it's infamous because of it's just not aesthetically pleasing. But the pitch is also just so much more narrow that I think it kind of keeps the game more open and plays faster. Honestly, that's the way I feel like there's always a bunch of goals at Yankee Stadium when they play there. So this game was probably going to be electric from the start. Just want to say that real quick. So Inter Miami gets on the board first. Then Nico Fernandez, who I think is maybe, I always say there's underrated players in MLS, but this guy is just so special. Ever since he went to New York City FC, it changed the team differently. Like it's just they've been so electric since he's been there. He had an absolutely beautiful free kick in the 17th minute. Beautiful goal by Nico Fernandez. This guy is just absolutely special. And then I thought, okay, New York City FC is going to start a resurgence, right? They're going to maybe come back because they're just such a good team. And in the first half, it was pretty much it wasn't back and forth. Miami had so many chances. The first half stats, Miami had possession 60% of the time. They had 15 shots, 5 on target in the first half. I don't remember the last time they had that many in the first half. They're notorious, especially this year, for being very, very slow in the first half and then having to play with some urgency in the second half. But they had 15 shots in the first half, 5 on target, 50% possession, 60% possession in the first half. And New York City FC only had 40% of this possession, 0.28 expected goal rate, 4 shots, 2 on target. Miami absolutely dominated the first half. And I just thought I thought Messi looked really, really good and energetic, like he was wanting to prove himself in that first half after Inter Miami got bounced. So they looked like they were a man on a mission. And so we head in the second half. It's 1-1. Game is wide open. Miami looked like the better team, but it could go either way. In the 59th minute, Agustin Ojeda scores to put New York City up 2-1. And I thought that maybe Miami were going to start to slip because New York City is just such a dangerous team. They are very, very explosive. Like anytime that they start just getting these goals going, they go on a run, right? But Messi was able to score a free kick, beautiful free kick in the 61st minute. And I think it deflected off someone actually to go in. But either way, he scored. And I think it was like his 71st free kick of his career. And it's his 901st goal of his career. So that tied it back up. And it's just, they're going blow for blow. And then Mikael able to score in the 74th minute to put Miami up 3-2. And then in the 77th minute, Bertarame scored, but then it got called back. So they were starting to pile on. And it looked like Miami just really started to find their own. And like they just played with just so much more confidence in this game. However, I will say the second half was a lot more even the first half. New York City FC actually had possession more, 52-48 in Miami. They had 7 shots, 3 on target, 1 expected goal compared to Miami's 0.47. Inter Miami had 7 shots and 3 on target. But so it was a much more even second half. And I did think that New York City FC were hanging on and they could have came back. But Miami was able to put them away after a very, very back and forth game. And that's the problem with Miami. Miami's had these games where they played very good, or they've been in the game the entire time, or had some opportunities they just haven't been able to convert. And the other team was just able to pull one out on them. And we saw that with with Nashville SC. So I was just curious if they were going to be able to let New York City climb back into this game, but they were able to put them away, and that's a big deal. Now, they did concede 2 goals, but winning against a team like this, I mean, New York City FC has not won a game all season long, or lost a game all season long, excuse me. They have not lost a game all season long. So to go to New York City in an odd pitch and beat this red-hot team is a huge, huge accomplishment for Inter Miami. And there's still a lot of questions about this team heading forward about what they're going to do in 2026 because they're early exit against in this Concacaf Champions Cup. Like, how are they going to change this? I mentioned earlier about Bertarame and how he cost so much money and how they won without him today. And they looked pretty good. I mean, they looked really good in the first half without him. Allende was okay, I guess. I still think Allende is just a lost player at this moment. I think that Inter Miami might have made a mistake buying him, especially for $5 million. He's the most expensive player in MLS history who's not a DP or U22 player. He's the most expensive player, $5 million. So I just think there may be some buyer's remorse for both of those players. And Mascherano, when he returns, he's gonna have to figure some things out about who's going to be on the pitch and who is going to start going forward. I think Gonzalo Lujan was really good in this game. You know, he was very, very subpar last year, and he has really stepped up to the plate in the absence of Maxi Falcone, which they needed because center back has always been a very turnstile spot for Inter Miami, inconsistent play. So having him step in there and play very well while Falcone will probably be out a couple more weeks has been crucial for this team. And Mikael has obviously been very, very solid since he's been at Inter Miami. I thought Noah Allen was pretty good today too. Noah Allen obviously is not as good as Reguilon in the attack, and we've talked about that numerous times, but I thought he was pretty good today. I thought Ian Frey wasn't very good today. I'm just not a big Ian Frey guy, but he played good enough for the team to win, and I don't think he really cost them in this match. It would be interesting to see how they shift this lineup. I mean, it's just so funny. They won this game with their 2 DPs out, not starting, Bertarame and Rodrigo de Paul, and they looked probably as good as they have all season against a very good team. So that's the problem in MLS is you spend all this money on these players, you're kind of committed to them. You're married to them. Like, it's hard to move off of them. You can't really bench a guy in MLS who costs you $15 million, who's making $5 or $6 million annually. That guy can't be on the bench. That's just how it is in MLS. They can be on the bench, but they don't go on the bench because they have way too much invest in that player. So there's just so many questions. And then New York City FC, you saw today that they really do still need a striker instead of playing with Nico Fernandez as a false 9. So we'll see what they do going forward. But this is a good win for Inter Miami, but it also is going to pose more questions. And also, I want to know how much Mascherano. I mean, I'm pretty sure Mascherano probably had the game plan today, and I can't remember the name of the interim coach who took over for him today, or the guy who filled in for him. But I mean, this was Javier Mascherano's plan. So I can't give the interim coach too much credit. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Mascherano picked out the starting 11 and how he wanted to play and who was going to be where. But yeah, I mean, Inter Miami, they get the bounce back win. Is it going to be obviously it's going to be still heartbreaking for them for a while with the loss to or the exit of the CCC, but they got Austin FC in 2 weeks. They get a much needed break, international duty. We'll see what happens. New York City FC, great start to the season, playing St. Louis City in 2 weeks. We'll see what happens with them. But hey, Inter Miami gets a bounce back win, much needed win, and we'll see what happens heading into the break and how they're going to play through the remainder of the season. Want to say real quick that MLS Moves was presented by FanDuel. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give us a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.